Welcome to the Awakening Podcast. You can find all our episodes on awakeningpodcast.org. I'm joined again, monthly call that I thoroughly look forward to, Peter Wilson. Welcome back.
All right, and it's great to be back again. Yeah, keep it going. Like your monthly chat. It's good fun.
No, absolutely. So, what I wanted to touch on, because we just talked about prior to the recording, is one of the things, it was actually one of the listeners to the show wrote in and said about Australia. And I know it looked like maybe all of Australia regarding the cameras, because you've discussed this a lot on our conversations. So when you go into the self-checkout, which is giving yourself a job, the camera is there and it goes against GDPR. And apparently there's some of the shopping centres have been made take it down. It's not all, but it just shows that there's hope and that what you're saying is actually true.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you a couple of stories which just proves 100% how powerful GDPR is, right? And remember, this is like using their regulations, their laws, their rules, whatever you want to call them, against them. And these shopping centers, be it supermarkets or the big open malls with many shops in, or anything like this, I'll tell you a story about a bar, right? They've got no idea about data protection, GDPR, about what the regulations mean and what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do, you know? And all of it is based around ignorance, like our ignorance. And because people don't research what is and isn't allowed, and then maybe he's like, oh, can't be bothered, or we're all in a hurry sometimes, and you just go in, you see the camera, and you think, oh, doesn't matter. Most of the time, this is we walk in like this, and like trying to like disguise it just as an actual thing to do. I can't go in all the time and start protesting at them. I'm trying to get everybody to go into organized groups. Now, everybody, not everyone, but I know there's a lot of organized groups all over the country now. And, well, like it's got England and Ireland, Wales and Scotland. And I know that there's groups, whatever you want to call them, be them, like sovereign groups or these ones that used to be Stand in the Park, I think it was called, when everyone got locked down, they were supporting each other and things like that. But, they need to actually start to do a little bit more work if they want to, like, protect their own freedoms. Now, we're getting encroached upon all the time. Well, all of these cameras are absolutely everywhere. But that one in Australia, and it's not just like in Australia, it is in this country as well. People fighting back, but they've actually been able to get this to be. This sounds stupid. It's been recognized that using the facial recognition is not legal, so they can't be having these. Because it does breach data and GDPR. Although in Australia, there is no GDPR, but it is data protection. It's the same thing. And it's their data or your data that's getting recorded every time you walk in these shops. Well, you just said it before, they make you go and work for them for free anyway. You've got to do all your own scanning, all your own packing and everything like that. Everything that they used to do, now you're doing it yourself anyway for free for them. But then,
and just on another thing, because if you're buying alcohol, the light goes red and they have to come over. So even if they used it to go, all right, Peter, you're not 16. We know that, Roy, you're not 16 or 14. But yet it doesn't even act on your benefit.
No, I know. And then with everything gets held up as well anyway. That many times, we've gone in and, funny things that I've done, like put the bags over the camera or Janine will stand with her thumb over the camera while I'm doing the scanning, and still like, put our hoods over and masks on and everything, like all through lockdown. I'm not wearing no mask now. We're like, yeah, give me a mask. To like hide for these cameras. But, it is like a breach of data, though. This is the whole point. So recently, all right, one of our group, whatever happened, right? There was an incident happened in this bar, and she got accused of something that she hadn't done, and so she like requested the CCTV from the bar. It was like a food place, but also like a public bar side. Remembering it's a public bar, So anyway, she asked for some assistance. I went, look, just, use these regulations, GDPR, Article 15. You are allowed to access all data that they are processing on you. So if they have data, they've filmed you, that's your data, you can have it. So anyway, she wanted to prove her innocence, which she did in the end, right? But so she wrote to the bar. I think she actually rang them, and the staff on the bar, just normal staff, they're like, well, yeah, well, I'll try and find out what the manager says, blah blah blah. Manager rang back, nobody ever gets their data. I've been doing this job for like 10 years. No one gets the data. You're not getting it. That's it. Leave us alone. Shut up and go away. This is it, right? I mean, those words are a breach already. You can claim compensation for those words. If they deny you your data, even if you get it later, hey, that's a poem. Get your data later. But they've already breached. You can still file on the N1 or money claim online in England and Scotland and Wales anyway, to get compensation for that breach. But we didn't in this case, but we did file the N1. We actually sent a series. We sent an SAR, written, saying we've already done a verbal subject access request, an SAR, subject access request. And under Article 15, we're allowed to use a verbal one. It states you can just do it verbally. So we've already made one. Now you have only whatever many days. Let's just say, the first one was a week. So now we're doing it in writing. So you've only got 21 days left to supply all the data that, is being held. Same type of response, we can't get the data, and then they came back and went, well, actually, there's loads of other people's faces on, so we can't give you the data because it would be breaching their data. So the response again is like, well, we're filing the M1. We did file to court. We're going to court for compensation and for forcing you to give us the data. Within 2 to 3 days, there's the data. Right? As soon as they've realized that you're serious, that you are going to go to court, and that you're following pre-action protocols, then you're actually going and like doing exactly, filing correctly with court, they're in trouble, and it's going to be so. Obviously, this bars nowadays are not like our Bob from the pub, right? It's owned by a chain, so it's gone up to the head office. They're like, GDPR, you've breached GDPR, get this sorted now. So there it is. We get the video with everyone else's faces all blurred out. Yeah, but that's their problem, not her problem, not the actual data subject. It's up to them to blur everyone else's faces out. So the first time I seen this, and a guy come and done a meeting with like in a part of the group who's in our bigger group, and he went into one of the biggest shopping malls in England, and he went into every area, made sure he was a total pain, went into every segment or whatever it is that he could. Then he went to security saying, I want my data. Same thing, you're not getting it. No one gets it. You're not allowed it. No law says you're allowed it. Really? So anyway, the eventually when he got it, compensation as well, and they had to produce the data for him. Every other face is blurred out. So, I mean, obviously they've got a massive, time drain. This is what I'm saying, attack the administration side, because how long would it be before they started getting rid of their cameras if you had an organized group that's, let's just say you picked one supermarket in the entire region, everybody, no matter what town that you're in, all go into the same supermarket, then you're all applying for your data, then that will have to go to the head office. They're going to have to either take the cameras out or going to have to pay thousands upon thousands in compensation, and also like get extra staff in, because no way are they going to have the administration staff just to be answering all of these subject access requests and then dealing and getting the data or wiping the data or do whatever it is, So this is the power that people have, and we've proved it a few times now in our group, regularly. But it's because we've got a big group, but it's spread right across the whole of the United Kingdom, right? So it's not like concentrated all on one supermarket, or it's not huge groups all over the country all doing it at the same time. So we're getting success because all we're doing is using their rules that they created to control us. We're using it to control them.
Would this work for ULEZ? Because I know there's Blade Runners that are going around and they're cutting them down, which, you know, it's grand and they're burning the stations where they're controlled and stuff like that. But the reality is that's breach. That's the same thing. Because, you know, if you're in the car and you could have a child with you or whatever, they're recording everything. So that's breaching your data.
Yeah, I would need to do more research on that. I've done it with tons and tons of research on the private car parking companies, because they do the same thing. You know, they take that photograph when you go into the car park, and even if you haven't parked, right, you spin around, there's no space, or you think, oh no, I'm not going to agree to their contract, and you leave, right? So, but they've took your data twice, in and then out, right? And if you haven't used the service, therefore there is no legitimate interest for them to have that data. So you know, we're working on that, and I've built and created a package that we're going to put out to people where they can go and attack with vigor and successfully these private car parking companies, because they are just a blight on everybody's life. You know, 2 minutes over and you're getting £100 charge. And they're saying it's not a punitive measure. It's just like because of a loss to the landowner. Well, you know, how could that be? It's just ridiculous. But for the ULEZ and things like that, there will be an angle, and I'm going to find it. You know, I'm going to research. I'm going to keep wiggling in there because
if we look at say the city of London or whatever, there's cameras over. Even here, I mentioned it before. And the thing is, if this was to protect us, if there's a pickpocket or a crime, I'm looking at so many pickpockets. I saw one recently. The woman had robbed someone else's phone. She caught her, and a woman probably in her 50 to 60 years of age. Police came along, and your mom's going through her phone, like, is this it? As in, she had robbed a lot of phones, got her phone back, and the police just left her go off. And that's going on wholesale. And like, you're looking at that. Of course, if you thump the person into the head, which you should, because if someone's trying to rob you, they deserve to get knocked out. But then you go to jail, or you get, they sue you. So, like, the reality is, they're probably going, oh, this is to protect you. I've never seen the police protect you. All they're doing is trying to fine you and tax you, is basically. So the reality is not just you, Leslie, but all of these cameras all around the city, because how often are they used to protect people? Rarely.
Well, it's not, is it? At all. It's nothing to do with protection. You know, I've got multiple sort of like people that I know that have been like either in some kind of confrontation or been attacked or whatever, you know, in the street. And then when they call the police, right, we need CCTV, or it doesn't cover that area, or well, them cameras don't work. They're just there for show. It's there to prevent. Well, we didn't prevent anything, you know. So there's nothing there that it's at all. In reality, the cameras on the shopping malls or the supermarkets or whatever it is, then you know that there is that if they try to say, oh, it's for security because we don't want any shoplifting going on or whatever. So what you're actually saying is every single person coming in is a criminal, right? That's what you're saying. So we have to film everybody. Well, it's just not right, is it? You know, like you can't treat everybody. Well, they are treating everybody like a criminal, but it shouldn't be allowed. But you can ask that for that data. Now, this is the whole thing. You can't say, right, that oh, it's a massive breach to have it, but you have to go through the process and say, right, I want the data supplied to me, and then I want it removed. Now, if everybody was doing it, the burden would be enormous, and they would have to do something about it. They'd probably get rid of the cameras, right? Then they'd also get rid of them self-service tills, because that's what they want to do. We're going to be going into like completely automated, you know, there's going to be like a vending machine supermarket in it. Press a button and it'll come out. You know what I mean? It's getting worse and worse all the time. But that's the only way that it's one of the ways, positive ways, that you can start fighting back. And it's a good way of doing a protest in reality, because all you're doing is exactly what it says you're allowed to do under Article 15 of GDPR, which is current EU and UK legislation, or any other country that's in the EU. That's their legislation. It's their rules and regulations. So it covers anybody that's in all of those European countries. And it's just in the UK, it's linked with the Data Protection Act 2018. But in all the other countries that are in the EU, they'll have their own data protection, whatever legislation, and it are backed up by the GDPR. And there's other versions of it wherever you go as well. Even if the countries that aren't in there, they've still got data protection regulations or rules or laws, whatever you want to call it. So you can use them to your benefit. And it's in South Wales, the chief of police actually got a case prosecuted against them for breach of data for having facial recognition vans in the street. Taken police vans with facial recognition instruments in and cameras in the van, and they got prosecuted because that was breaching data. So you can do it if you do it properly and you use GDPR or data protection laws to actually get it sorted.
When I took my son to Valencia last year, and we were doing going to the football stadium, and there was a big car parking opposite. So I went close to the roadside, even though it's in a closed area as such, not on the street. But I knew that, okay, plenty can see this. When we came back, the car had been broken into. They took everything. They took our passports, our travel bags, our suitcases, the whole lot was. So when the police came, which took them half an hour or so, of course, like that's always the case. But I said, yeah, is there camera? Oh, they don't work. And it was a case of when I went back, fill out a report where you're filling out a load of different things. And then he said, yeah, you'd have to leave the car for 2 days so we can check. And I just said, look, being honest, what's the chances of this? And he said, 1%. And he said, what will happen is if we get the fingerprints, because it's not inside the car, there's no blood or anything. He just said that he was just passing and rested his hand against it. And not only that, so that, like, there's cameras, but they're saying, they didn't work. And the other thing then is I wasn't covered for insurance. They didn't pay me the insurance. So, like, and the amount of people that I've heard that has happened in Spain and France, everything, like, they don't get paid and there's no way, like, so that's the time they go, oh yeah, we have the camera there. Yeah, we can see this car came along and took all the stuff, because obviously a guy didn't come along and start carrying, 2 big suitcases and 2 bags with him. It was a car. They could have easily get him, but they don't want that. And that's not an isolated incident. So, what are they there for?
Exactly. Yeah. It's a tool. I mean, that's what it's like that all the time, no matter where you are in England as well. It's exactly the same. It's like the cameras aren't switched on. So, but they are when you're walking into a supermarket or,
if you do something wrong, if you cross the road and you're not supposed to, they're switched on. Then
exactly
when they want it, they're switched on. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they don't even stop the people that do the shoplifting anyway. The actual security are instructed. If it's like under £100, then don't interfere with them, don't stop them. So what's the point anyway? Yeah, it's like, well, we know who it is, right? And that'll do us. We've got a photograph of them, but we didn't stop them. They might be back next week and get another bit. It's an absolute joke. It's just purely, and what'll happen is it'll just get stronger and stronger, and then it'll be like you can't go anywhere whatsoever without being watched at all. It's just a complete utter Big Brother sort of like stance with all of it. So that's why people need to start working and together. There is a woman in England somewhere, and she's actually going and getting groups to protest at I don't mean protest with placards and stuff. I mean going into the protests, into the supermarkets and demanding, like, right, I need the data for my child just walked in with me. You've just taken a video of them. Why? I mean, if you were standing on a street corner videoing kids walking past, I think you'd get a little bit of a shock.
There's actually a guy that's going around recording all the police stations. He stands outside and the police are getting so aggressive. But it's really, he's just doing what they're doing to us constantly.
Yeah. I've seen a few what they call them auditors, and they'll stand opposite a police station and film them, and then they come out, which is crazy. The amount of police that you'll see running out and being really aggressive, and I'm going to arrest you. And it's like, well, I'm in a public place. I'm standing here, and then when you're in public, you can actually take videos or photographs of anything that is in public. You can't go in, stick your camera through someone's window in their home because that's their private property. But if you're on the street, you're in the public domain, then you can film anything. And it's crazy that some Even now, after all these years of people doing these audits, either being outside a police station or even just on the corner filming anything, and that they're so stupid that they say, "Oh no, you can't do that." Like, you're breaking the law, and the one that they use all the time, I can't remember the section. It might be section 34 of the Terrorism Act. Oh, come on. You know what I mean? 'Cause I'm a terrorist. I'm going to go blow up this building. So I want everyone to see that I'm planning it, and they're like filming it. It's just the normal thing that they use. The same as, like, section 5 of the public order offense, because you've sworn. The police, they're not allowed to do that at all. There's case law that you can actually, like, get that stopped, but they just try and abuse their position all the time. I was going to say powers, but they haven't really got any. But their position to think, I was bullied at school, so I'm going to go and try and bully everyone else now because I've got a clown outfit on. But yeah,
There's one like that's with the. I see a load of this. I mean, I got caught myself at one stage with the airlines, right? Because they're coming in and they're saying, "Oh, your bag must fit into this thing," and sometimes it's like tiny, or the handle just. I saw a guy the other day snapping off the wheels and then getting away with it. But I heard like they're getting kickbacks to the people that are there taking your ticket for making sure that people have to go through and do that. Is there any way to get it? Because the reality is, I mean, sometimes you have somebody that's so obese, they're 3 times the weight of us, and yet they pay the same price. But if somebody's got a bag and it's a fraction too big, like, it's not as if it's a fiver per kilogram or something, or a couple of quid per kilogram. You say fair enough, but they're charging like 70 quid. And then sometimes they're saying, "Oh, that won't fit in here. You have to go back and check in." And then you actually end up missing your flight because of it. Is there any way to deal with them? Because to be honest with you, like, I get it when someone's trying to bring, a 20K bag when they're supposed to have hand luggage, but most of the time you'd barely see the difference, and they're being snotty. And it's usually Ryanair, but there's a few of the airlines. Any way to handle with that, do you think?
I would not have an idea yet, but I mean, you say, like, when I'm concentrating on, like, GDPR and data protection, I don't really know how that would fit in, but I'll definitely have a research and see what's what, and see if I can see anything. But yeah, that's it is annoying.
Yeah. There's one that I know that you can do that will catch them, is if they're weighing it and they say, "Oh, this is such a," you ask them for the calibration certificate, and they won't be able to provide that. And if it's moved, the calibration is adjusted as well. So if it's one of these mobile ones, just say, if you move something, calibration doesn't work, it has to be recalibrated. And just by using that, you should get around to it. But it just annoys me, because I've seen so many people, and you can just, especially kids, they have kids with them and everything, and the stress that it causes, bad enough that you go through. And we talk a lot about energy fields in the house and everything. There's one of the girls that I follow, and she has the device, and she was going through the airports, going through the roof, the actual frequencies. It's deadly. Yeah. And it's like, so, it's not something I was aware of. I didn't think it'd be like that, but unreal, dangerous levels inside in the airport.
Oh yeah, I mean, just imagine though as well. We've got, again, members of our group who go into the airports and point blank refuse to go through those X-ray machines, and they say, "Well, look, all right, well, you have to go around the corner then." And they say, "Well, now we're going to do this beep 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 one on you." Say, "No, we're not having that, because it's, I'm really sensitive to EMF, therefore it makes me really ill. You're not touching me with it or going near me with it." So, and they have to, like, allow them to do that. But I mean, if you think about it, how many of them machines, they're X-raying all of these cases, they're X-raying all the bags, they're X-raying all the people, all of that, like, EMF energy that's in there, plus thousands of people. They're all on the phones, they're all on the laptops. The whole place is just, it's ready to explode. So
The machines cause cancer, and it's been known that they cause cancer. So anytime it's usually when you go up to the States, but I see in Dublin and places like that as well, they're starting to put them everywhere. And what they'll say, "Oh, we've an opt-out," as if you're like, it's something bad, like big shout out, "We've an opt-out," and then they push you to the side, and like they're putting their hands around your waist inside and everything. Like, and like I just said to your man, like, you enjoying your job, like, just taking the piss out of him, like. But it's like, it's pathetic, like, and people just go there like, "Oh," stand like that, like, and they're fucking basically X-raying you. And if you're a frequent flyer, look away and research the dangers of these things, it's basically like you might as well jump into the microwave and press the button every now and again. Eh?
Yeah. Well, that's where you are getting microwaved, aren't you? You know, it's crazy, which is what they do to you if you think you've got cancer. All right, let's go and give you tons of x-rays and tons of chemotherapy and poison you and burn you. And, you'll be fine, So it was like, I think, well, we can talk about that a little bit, like about where the cancer comes from. But, right, in reality, what they're doing is they kill you with the treatment. He just died again. What of? Chemotherapy. What have you died of? Radiotherapy. Well, what about the cancer? Well, I don't know. He died before we got a chance to check it. It's
or the MRI scans, like they put a liquid sometimes into it. They say, "Oh, we can see better," and that's actually been known to cause death as well.
But it's radioactive. The actual liquid is radioactive. Years and years and years ago, I actually I've got 2 false hips, through like probably just so many years and years of fighting and martial arts, and it's just totally worn them out. But when I was having an X-ray, and they actually, I mean, I never even thought about it until after, and it says just like drink this stuff, and you drink it, and then we're going to do the X-ray, and then after. They said, make sure that you don't go near any children or women that are pregnant. I'm like, why? And well, you're radioactive. I was like, oh, brilliant, So, yeah, you just got to be careful what they do.
How many people do they tell? I mean, if they said that to you prior to giving you the drink, you'd have said, no, thanks, I'm all right.
Well, that was it. They waited till after when it was all finished, and they said, all right, now don't go near any pregnant women or small children. Like why? What's you're radioactive.
You'd be like, Homer Simpson glowing, like
Yeah, exactly. Kryptonite walking down the street, crazy stuff. It's absolute mental. But that's what they do. I mean, we've been looking at the actual causes, what really is cancer, and the more that you actually look into it, it actually shows so many times that there isn't like a disease, cancerous disease thing, right? It's parasites, it's parasitical, and you can treat the parasites, and that is what will actually get rid of any cancer. So have you ever heard of fenbendazole?
I actually have it written down today because I was in your school program on one of the things, and I heard that, so I actually wrote it down. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah,
it's like ivermectin or something like that, kind of.
That the biggest ingredient for ivermectin is fenbendazole. And so we were researching on fenbendazole and like what because it's basically like a wormer, right? And that's why they made the big thing about Joe Rogan saying, oh, he's taking a worming tablet, so he thinks it's got rid of all of his disease. Was it the same it with COVID or something, and he got rid of it for ivermectin?
They changed the color on the when CNN put it out. They made him look yellow. They made him look sick.
Right.
Compared to the original recording he done himself. Like, that's how thick they are, like.
Well, but yeah, all right. So it is like a worming tablet or a parasitical like treatment. And when we were looking at the research, and it was a woman who had on mice, right? Fair enough, it's mice, and they had given the like these like the cancers, injected these cancers into the brain, the bowel, and all of this on the mice. But then they said, well, look, the mice have got worms. We need to get rid of them so we can monitor the results properly. So they were giving them fenbendazole, right? And all of the cancers disappeared. They're like, hang on, what happened there? But like, why is that not getting sort of like pushed out there? So we regularly now make sure that no matter what, that we go on treatments, parasitical treatments, whatever you want to take. I do actually use fenbendazole, but we also have like it's like wormwood and natural herbs that actually get rid of these parasites, and it has to be done in a proper cycle, so that because they just don't go away, they continually are there. I mean, some of them.
Yeah, sometimes you kill the worm, but the eggs are still there, and you need something else for that. And then do the cycle, and then don't keep doing it because they build up the immune system. So you have to kind of give a break as well.
Yeah, and so you need a little bit of a break, and then you got to do it again. So like, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, that type of thing. But then a lot of people, if they've never done it before, right? So I mean, this is where it comes into, are you going to do either as well? Not just that, but like say a fruit cleanse or what do you call it? A fast. So we do normally anyway, not this week. I haven't, I'll tell you why. But like normally we would do one day where we'll just do a fruit cleanse. So all we do is drink like not distilled, but like filtered water and cleansed water with also with the gone into with the machine, the vortex, to make sure the ions are correct, and then like put the energy into the water so it's living water. But that and just fruit, so no food, and it rests your gut, and then you're actually getting rid of the parasites that way as well. But a lot of people, when they do the treatment for the cleanse or get the parasitic treatment, they have, like, what happens is that the all of the parasites are dying, but then they have a toxic knockback where, because they're all dead inside you, and then people feel ill. But that's just your body getting rid of the toxins. But then it's like, oh, I feel like I got flu. I feel like I got, which doesn't exist, because it is just a parasitical cleanse or a toxic cleanse that your body's doing for you. All right. You may not feel very nice, but that's what it's doing. It's cleansing, but and that's what stops them wanting to do it again, because they felt a bit ill. So you have to kind of gauge how to do it and not go over the top, because you can do it again with the Rife machines as well, all the frequencies, whatever it would be. We have like the Spooky 2 machine, which has the portable generator X as well that you can use, and we've used it on the dogs, like now the dog will have now, like, Mouse he's called, and he's got a bad ear, and just we put we did a scan on him, an all over body scan. So once we've done the all over body scan on the Generator X from the Spooky 2, then it actually creates a frequency specifically for whatever it can find from the scan. And then you run it on the scan so that no matter where they go on their DNA, they are getting treated for anything that was found on that scan. And his ears cleared up. He had a bad ear infection. I tried to touch his ear. He tried to bite me because it was, it was too sore, just to like get off me kind of thing. But like now, this morning I was touching his ears, totally fine. It's clearing it up well. So, again, putting that into the frequencies in to help get rid of the parasites, but make sure you don't overdo it. Is if you've never done it before, especially because it can actually knock you back and make you feel as if you're ill. Got a flu, but you know what I mean. The body detoxing for you.
Oh. I'm not sure if we actually discussed about it, but I've got the Spooky 2 as well. I've got the devices, and on my laptop at one stage, because I had one PC to put it on, and it kept taking the program off. And I mean, I'm not that IT literate. Like, there's got a guy in who really knows, and it was Microsoft is removing it. So removing the program from my computer. That's how scummy they are. Like, and I mean, these devices work. So I'd highly recommend people go away and look at Spooky 2. I know a lot of my friends have them, and they're actually doing what you say, getting rid of, and you hear people saying they have cancer and everything. I mean, the reality is the cells, they're just the cells that are just getting destroyed, and they just detox. And like, as you say, have a fast as well. That all helps. Parasite cleanse, mold cleanse. There's a few things you can do, but don't be taking chemicals. Like, when you were at your hips, that's what they do. They bring you in, they say the chemo, and they go, oh, this helps. Everyone I know that has done the chemo is like, unless they're young, sometimes they can manage it, they can fight it and everything, but they end up having operation after operation. Everything goes in the body. They're constantly in hospital. And then a lot of the time, unfortunately, it just doesn't. A year and they're gone. But there's others, they survive, but they're living in hell. Like, you just look at them. I connected a few people now, and I know they don't. And all I hear is getting an operation, getting an operation. That's not normal. The reason you're getting an operation constantly is because you've just had poison put into your body, like, and you've destroyed everything.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's so that there are better ways of doing it, and they know everything. I mean, surely by now everybody knows that vibration and frequency is exactly what you are. You're a vibration, you're a frequency, and all you have to do if you want to heal or get rid of something like cancer, if they want to call it cancer or whatever it is, then is to correct the vibration and the frequency. So then you can actually be in that vibration and frequency, which is why they had the huge big steeples and the church bells, and people would be being healed by that vibration and frequency. Now there's no big bells anywhere, is there? Where are they? Oh,
It actually, it was during World War II, I believe. They said there was a shortage of metal, and what they did is they buried them. They found them later. They were pretended they needed the metal for armaments, and even I don't know how you described like the circle with all the different shapes. Apparently, that's the frequency, and it's once you see this and look at it, and now with the because I mentioned it the other day on one of the shows with the pyramids, they're after seeing that. I mean there was copper on the top of them. Everything was a frequency, and it was all about living in harmony. I don't know how it got infiltrated. It's like I had a guy that was on my show that I've got all energy patents now, like over 100, and a lot of stuff on Tesla, a lot of different energy, free energy. It's there, but it's quashed, and you're not allowed to have it. And it's like, we don't need to be living in the world that we're living in. It can be sorted like that, but it's all orchestrated. We're all slaves. I mean, you look at everyone. Everyone is breaking their balls just to survive. And in their own little battle that they're not paying attention to what's really going on. And then it's just we're being attacked left, right, and center. And with the and I mean I mentioned before, like here, the fog nearly every day now. I mean, I'm 18 years in Bowling. That's not the case. That's not normal. That's orchestrated. They can bring it down. And that's more attacks, and then people then are sick and they're not paying attention. There's nobody standing together and going, like what you're saying with the GDPR, hey, we just need all to do this, and it stops. But unfortunately, you'll have 90% of people will do nothing, 5% attack you, and it's hard to do with the rest, like.
Yeah. I mean, you know what it is, when I was telling people, how to actually do this, and I've actually went on the car parking, how to actually, because these people are the biggest filthy parasites you can imagine. These car parking companies now. So what used to be free everywhere? Go to a supermarket, go to a shopping center, all the car parks you could go and park, right? So we've got like a local mall. It's not in my town. Well, I'm not in the town anymore, but it's like a little bit further away. But if you go in, I can't remember what the term, I think maybe 3 hours that you can stay in. But this is a mall, and it's full of cafes, bars, restaurants, even a cinema, and then all the shops as well. So if you're going to have a social event, right? So I mean, not that I don't go anywhere near. I hate the places, but you can imagine you're going to go in. All right, I need to do like the supermarket shopping, and then when I'm finished, I'm going to go for a coffee. I'm meeting a friend, and then we're actually going to go for lunch. No, you're not, because you're going to come out to like £170. Like, it's not a fine; it's a charge for a breach of contract. Um, that's the truth of it. So now they've infiltrated and got all of these car parks where it says, well, we'll manage it for you. That's their thing. We'll do a contract and we'll manage it. We'll make sure it's safe, or whatever it is that they say. And it's like, whenever it's 2 minutes past the free period, and it's all done by ANPR as well. When you've gone in, when you've gone out, they don't need people to be going around, like with the notepads or whatever, tablets or whatever it is, to look at the cars. And that's all it does. But again, is that calibrated correctly? ANPR is going misguided many, many times. It's proven many, many times. So they're getting the wrong videos. They're actually having the wrong times when the cars have gone in and out and got the data from them. But that there itself, as soon as you've got in, they've taken your data. There's an image of your car. And then when you're leaving again, boom, there's an image of your car. And there's many ways that you can actually to fight it. But, right, and what they're saying is you stayed there because you agreed a contract. So when you park your car, you've like read the sign and you've agreed by not leaving. Right? That's what they're saying. So you've created a contract. You can't create a contract like that. A contract, if nothing else, has to be a meeting of the minds. You have to exchange. There has to be a fair exchange between each other, like equal consideration, I call it, as well as a wet ink signature. Definitely not that. But then they say, well, you've agreed already before you've parked because you've passed the sign. So all the signs, I was just looking at one the other day. You're driving along, there's a big roundabout right next, which is on the public road, public roundabout, public road, and so there's the entrance to the car park with the big signs. So they say you've already agreed because you've read that sign when you're passing through it. However, you're on a public road, so you're under the Road Traffic Act and the Highway Code. So you would literally have to do an illegal activity, i.e., not concentrate on the road. It states point blank that you're not allowed to read like small print. You're not allowed to. I mean, if you go to massive fines or even get banned if you go on your phone, read your phone, look at your phone. But they expect you to read a sign and read all the small print and agree a contract. You can't, because that is an illegal activity. So what they're saying is they're trying to enforce something upon you by making you, so again, a contract falls down if it supports an illegal activity. So you can't have a contract that supports an illegal activity. So, it might be a little bit nitpicking, but they're asking you to take your eyes off the road, which is illegal under the Road Traffic Act and the Highway Code, to read the sign and the small print, and then you will agree a contract. So the contract falls flat on its face. More people need to know that, and then put that into the GDPR and the data protection, and then you wouldn't have to pay these £170 charges, not fines, right? Because you haven't breached the contract, because you couldn't have created a contract, because they can't have you committing an illegal act to form a contract.
You could always just claim you're illiterate and that you can't read, and you have to get somebody to translate this. So just say, I was unable to read what you're saying because I'm illiterate, and have somebody else sign the document, send it back. I don't think they'd have a case there either, because they should have somebody there to tell you if that's the case. Do you understand? Yeah, there's nobody actually, confirming it like that. No, it's an interesting one. Another one I want to touch on, and I know we've kind of touched on the different books and laws and stuff like that, but I saw on your school platform that you use, which, you've got a lot of free, like you've always done, you're very generous with a lot of this different thing. But I saw the boulevards might disappear now if I put it in front of the green screen here. But yeah, so you have a different, there's so many different ones with that, because I think you have an earlier one. And the same with the Black Laws, we may as well cover both of them, because I've got the first edition here, and it took me a while to actually get that, because I think the sixth, and I've heard the sixth is a good one as well, but I've heard that basically they took out stuff and they've docked them as they went along, because obviously, the people in charge control all these different things. Are you, when you're getting a letter, have you the right to request what law they're working with? Because there's so much trickery. There's so much trickery with words and everything. And it's like, honestly, do I want to be reading this shit? Not in a million years. But unfortunately, you have to understand it, because they're scumbags and they're trying to take every penny out of your pocket. And you wish the legal team would be able to do this for you and protect you, but that's not how they work. They're looking at their own billable hours. Which ones do we use, and how do we use them properly?
Well, the reason why you would have, like, I've got that one, the Black's Law Dictionary, the sixth one, and also we have, where is it? Let's say the Burton's Legal can never say that word.
Parasites.
Oh, exactly. The fourth edition as well. And the reason why I use Black's sixth and Burton's fourth, to stick with that instead of the other word, right, is because those were created before they actually got rid of the gold and silver that were backing up the currencies. So what they done, once they actually got rid of that, they started to change a lot of the terms and what it meant and what it stood for. So what we'll do is, if you do get like a letter that comes through, or a notice, whatever they want to call it, you need to check what it all means, because it's not English. It really is, they've all heard it, legalese. And then people are like, oh yeah, no, I've heard of legalese. I know they're lying to me. But what you got to do is you got to go back and check them and find out what the words actually means. When they said mandatory, it's mandatory that you have to, have this thing shoved up your nose or wear a mask. That it's simply a request. And it tells you, if you go into the local
summons is the same. When they summons you to court, that's a request as well.
Yeah. So, it doesn't mean that you have to go, or something's, and that you've already agreed, because you didn't consent to it. That is the whole thing. And everything has to be by consent. It's all a contract. That's the whole thing. And everything in the whole law or legal, whichever way you want to put it, It's all about contracts. The whole thing, it's all commercial. You think you're just living your life, but you're literally, right, working in commerce. You are commerce, which is why, right, going back to the full legal fiction, why you have the full capitalized name. It's not you, it is a corporation. And that is the only way that they can deal with you, because you're alive, you're a man or a woman. They can't contract with a man or a woman. They can only contract with another corporation, proving again, that they are purely just a corporation. That's why it all has to be legal. What do you call it? Fully capitalized, right? Capitalis maximus, where they've got like your full capital name, where you lose all your rights if you accept that that is you, which is why they read it out at court. Just confirm your name is, and they'll say it. But what they're doing is they're reading the legal fiction. Then you say, yes, you've contracted.
And they won't say, are you Peter Wilson? They'll say, are you Mr. Peter Wilson?
Exactly.
That's where they catch you. Yeah.
I gotta be, look how I'm lifting the glass up in a funny way. Look, it's like I was at my allotment yesterday, and it's like it's never been used for a couple of years. The woman had died, so nobody had been in, so it's like massively overgrown. And I've been in, like, had to cut back all the trees and the bushes, which were massive big thorns. I've just been pulling thorns out of my fingers and out of my hands and my feet. It's like, so my hands are like really sore and all cut to pieces with them. That's why I'm holding my glasses. Thoroughly enjoyed it though. This is our, we want to get back into like growing and all of our own food and eating all of our own food, so we don't have to buy any vegetables, or at least minimum amount of vegetables from any kind of shops.
Yeah. I mean, they're attacking people again now. It's like, you're not allowed to grow anything. You're not allowed to have a chicken. You're not allowed to. And all you have to do is ask yourself, what's wrong with that? What way is that? Because they want to control everything, and people are complying to it. And the same thing, they're going to write to you going, Mr. All Capitals, Roy Gallen. It's like, that's not me. Even when I sign, I put LS. I know that the Queen used to do that. And, my son was like, what's that? I said, living soul. There's no way they're catching me. Every time I have to sign something to collect something in the post, I put LS after it. Living soul.
Cool. Yeah, see, when I was like yesterday, the allotment next to mine, the guy's got like pigeons, like loads and loads of pigeons, and they've actually got them segregated, just like they used to do to the humans in COVID, right? They're only allowed a certain amount of pigeons that are allowed to fly together because of bird flu. Honestly, he was telling me yesterday, I was like, what? He went, oh yeah, we're only allowed, I can't remember how many he said, but they say like 12 pigeons in one part. So now he's had to like rebuild his pigeon coop. So it's blocked off. All these bits that group of pigeons stay in that side, and then that side, and then that side, and then he lets them out. So I was watching them fly. It looks great when they're flying around. But like, and then they go back and do whatever, and they've had their bit exercised. But you're only allowed to do that, right, in those little sections, because they've all been vaccinated, right? And he's had to register every single pigeon with DEFRA. And then once he'd registered them with DEFRA, then he had to register them with something other about the pigeons, and then confirm, that the pigeons were all registered and vaccinated as well. So I said, like, okay, so how do you get the vaccinations done? I said, like, surely a vet's not going to come out and vaccinate all of these, however they do it, with a needle or food or what? I don't know. I didn't ask him that bit. But he went, no. What you got to do is you got to order it per pigeon from like a veterinarian pharmaceutical company. Then it gets delivered to you. And then you have to get somebody in your region, in your area, who's also what they call a pigeon fancier, but he'll be in your pigeon association, basically. And they have to sign an affidavit, basically, to say that they witnessed you given the vaccinations. But in reality, that's just the same as us. But yeah, I'll tell them, I'll say you did it if you say I did it. But it's the same with the chickens as well, because a few of them have got chickens further down the next lot there.
I mean, they're jabbing them. The jab is what's going to cause this so-called avian flu. I mean, I was talking about that over a year ago. That was the next thing coming, because you just put the pieces together and but they removed everything from me. It's like, Yeah, I had that one on TikTok, and they just they deleted my channel. But like, if you do that, you're complying and allowing it to happen. And like, this is kind of similar because I heard you talk about your, and I know like you know, you had a lot of dogs, and but they lived a lot longer, and you didn't give them the jab, just like I did. My dog lived till he was 16, and it's like people have been conditioned to think it's normal to jab, and it's not. And all you're doing is you're making them ill. You're giving them cancers. They're not able to protect themselves. And
Good.
like was it nearly 20 years that some of your dogs that I think I have just
Same as 16, same as yours. You know, but like, remember when you were a kid, though? You know, I mean, our family had a dog, you know, a few dogs, and they never used to take them to the vet. They never used to give them like an injection, you know, like every year or anything like that. And nothing was ever wrong with them, and you know, nobody like got killed off the dog. You know, it's just stupid. It's just another way of pharmaceuticals being able to like make fortunes. And now, what you can do is, I mean, I've actually asked like a few different vets and pharmaceutical people who work in chemists, or if you get it for the dog, it costs you about 5 times as much as what exactly the same thing what you can get. You know, even antibiotics. If you need antibiotics, exactly the same antibiotic for a dog, for instance, is about 5 times more expensive than it is for you. It's just stupid. It's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. But you know, we never used to get any like the vet we had. But I remember when I was growing up, he would only go into this office like 2 or 3 times a month. You know, you'd know it would be written on the door, and he'd probably travel around the whole area. You know, probably go in all the different villages and towns. But then you would go and book an appointment and go in there, and it was very rare, you know, or you know that anything. I mean, if the dog had an accident, there's a big difference. But now you can see we've got two enormous vet hospitals right next to us, not far from us. And then you just think, wow, I mean, they're just the same size as like the hospital for people. The amount of money that's in it is absolutely ridiculous, you know. And you know, we unfortunately, like last year, we lost our last dog that we brought from Spain, you know, because we drove over with the four of them. But we lost like literally 1 year, then the next year, then the next year, 3 on the trot. It was horrible. But when you've kind of got them all at the same-ish time, you know that they're going to probably leave you around a similar time as well. It's just horrible when it actually happens. But you know, they all lived a very, very long time. I mean, and the what do you call it? That I would think none of them had had any type of vaccination or anything like that since at least 2019. You know, so and I wouldn't do that to any of them. So why would you do it to your chicken? And as this guy was telling me, I was trying to say things without saying it, you know, and I says, oh, they just want money from you. They're just trying to do anything they want. They're talking a load of rubbish. Yeah, and he's going, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, but we need to do it, you know. And then he was saying, well, did you not hear about the farmer who's got like a sheep, and they've proven, why would they be looking is the thing. They've proven now that the avian flu is passed from a bird to the sheep. I just went, oh, what a load of bollocks. I said it before, but I even stopped myself, you know, and he went, yeah, yeah, probably. Yeah. I says, oh, come on. I says, like, they're just saying these things to make you buy more products, make you buy more vaccinations and all this. Who wants to be like vaccinating more? And then I thought, like, I best calm myself down, like, you know, like, don't want to get, because people don't want to hear it. They've got their own little blinker, like,
everyone has their own beliefs, and
indoctrinated mind.
with the dogs and the cats, and it's probably with all animals. Before, if you were going in holidays, you just bring them in, and you know, for a week or whatever, into the place that minds the animals. They won't take them now unless they're vaxxed, so they push it. Oh, yeah, your dog will infect the other dogs, kind of bullshit. Like, you know, it's so then people, because they've nobody to mind the dog, and they want to go on a holiday, they just comply, and then it's part of the system then, and it's all logged, and you've got your book or putting the chips on it, which I think it just conditioned the old society to think it's normal when it's not.
No, well, yeah. So that's to get like if the chip and the dogs, then like eventually they're going to chip you. we'll all be fine. Oh, don't worry, you did it to your dog. Well, yeah, well, just go, let's do it to you then. Just like, get your wrist out, we'll stick it in there, be fine. I think it's just a way of like, easing it in there, but that's the thing, like what you've just said. We don't go anywhere, so I'm not bothered about anything like that. But you couldn't. I would never give my dog to anyone else. I don't trust anyone anyway. But you go and put it into a kennel, well, they won't accept them, like you're saying, unless they've been got the full passport with all of the up-to-date vaccinations in and anything like that. They just not let them in. Which comes down to the whole idea again of like, all this idiocy about like the jabs and everything. So hang on, that you can't come in if you're not jabbed. That means you're not vaccinated. Well, should that not just be my problem then? Because then it's me that's going to get ill and then I'll die, and that should be fine with you. But if you're all vaccinated, then there's nothing's going to go wrong with you then. Isn't that not true? No, well, it just says you're not allowed in. So you're not vaccinated, you're not getting in. Or neither is your dog. You know what I mean?
And it's probably like you as well. All the people that have been, whether they've got 4, 6, or how many jabs, they're the ones that are constantly sick, and they still don't get it. I mean, I know so many people, and they spend more time in the hospital, and they still don't get it, and then they're getting their flu shot now as well. And you're just, I don't understand it. Like, I mean, I look at that and I go, and there's even in. The European Court of Justice made a ruling that doctors are liable for this because they didn't advise people. That came out just a month ago.
Yeah.
So, like, we know it's all a farce, but yet they're still getting jabbed. There's still people getting the COVID jobs. And if they're not getting that, they're getting the flu one. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like this allotment that we've just took over with the woman was I think 50, and she was just found dead, like in her bed, sitting up like this. She had a laptop open, had a cup of tea in her hand, and she just died. Nobody knows why. Oh, so in like this little village, there's like people that are between 40 and 50 that are like dying and just dying. What happened? Oh, they just died. My husband just died. Oh, what happened? He just died. He had a sudden death syndrome. It's like, just didn't wake up. Think. But it's like the same people bragging about like how great they were. Oh, I'm saving humanity by getting like, the vaccination, and the next thing they're not here to tell you the story. And it's like, not everybody's clicking that, I wonder if there's a connection there, It's like it's just insane. It is insanity, isn't it? It's like a group insanity, like where it's the indoctrination is just huge. And if you ask now, a lot of people, even a lot more are now saying, I would never do that again. I've had it, but I'll never do it again. And it made me ill and made this ill, and it's absolutely outstanding, really. Like incredible how many like injuries that there are now that haven't killed them, but at least not yet anyway. But they are still queuing up for a lot of them. It's just like, what I mean? Still a lot of them queuing up for the next set. Like you say, even the flu one. Like, oh, come on. There's no such thing as the flu anyway. It's like that is literally your body cleansing itself and detoxing it, getting rid of the crap out your system that needs to. Yeah, it might be painful, but then that's your fault for taking too many toxins in. Well, not all your fault. I suppose you can't help it now. There's like the sky's looking a bit, even though it's sunny-ish, it's grayish as well. It's like not a normal like spring moving towards a summer day. It starts off beautiful in the morning, and then you see this one and this one and that one. It's like, noughts and crosses in your sky. But that's all normal. Don't worry about that. You didn't say things about that though, and you're stupid.
I'll give you an example of what happened just a couple of weeks ago. Because one, with the jab, it's not that they just go in and get a jab. All right, okay, you didn't do research, you just believed what they told you. But it's not that. They'll attack you for trying to stop people from doing it because you're sharing information that's proving how deadly these things are. And just look at each ingredient shouldn't be in the body, but yet they're saying it. Or even people that got, say, the J&J and the Pfizer's, and that's okay. No tests ever done to have a concoction, and yet they're the. So there was like on the raid. There's two big from Cork. I'm from the south of Ireland, and there's two radio stations that a lot of people listen to. And one of them, they put a post up about a outside car parking for €25,000, And there was so much engagement. And I just wrote, it'd be better if you had discussions on the actual chemtrails, which are affecting your air, your water, the food you drink. And it was not attacking anything. I was basically at the radio station. Oh, this is real news and everything. I don't know what it is now, but at one stage, fairly fast, it was 80. They give it was 30 were thumbs up, the rest were laughing, and the abuse, you fucking retard, all this kind of shit. As if and it, to me, it's nothing because it just bounces off me. But there's so many people that they're trying to share stuff with them, and they can't sleep at night, or they just stop being on social media, they get depressed. This is Cork City. This isn't a third world country. It's 100%, I've got freedom of information where they're saying from the UK, we're blocking out the sun. And they know what I did? I actually then made a comment because it was nasty. I said, no problem. I have real scientists on my show, not paid ones. And I gave the link to all the shows. Not one comment on that thing, and the more abuse after that. Not one person would say, shit, I was wrong, or, ooh, wow. No, it's let's beat up. And this is normal across society. So all I say is don't let idiots stop your mission, because they've been brainwashed so much that that's what they do. So don't let it affect you. And if it does affect you, don't be doing it, because you're going to be attacked, unfortunately.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, it's just one of those things, and social media, is the keyboard warrior's dream, isn't it? They think that they don't ever have to be accountable. It's crazy, but it's I would just say it's not that big a world, you want to be careful what you do and what you say, because you might just bump into these people one day.
I've seen, there's against us sometimes, there's comments, and I'd love, not in a million years would somebody say that to your face, because you'd knock them out in 2 seconds, and yes, behind the keyboard, they are they think they're Bruce Lee,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're lethal, hands, like lethal weapons, it's just, but yeah, they're just only the fingers when they're typing it in. They're absolutely clowns. They're just pathetic. That Irish guy I don't know if he's a comedian or what.
Yeah.
Soon.
Yeah.
And to be honest, right? I mean, not that you shouldn't have an opinion, right? But obviously he says a lot of funny things, and it's making fun of things, and he's a comedian. I think that's what he does for a living. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, he is. I've seen him, and he mocks himself. He's heavy, so he's on about food, and he's kind of I'm delicious, and so he finishes up everything.
Yeah, and this is I was going to go on a plane, whatever, but it was an experimental plane. He says, fair enough, if I was on it, would probably fall out the sky anyway, stuff like that. So he does, he to himself. But he said a lot of people are asking me about Conor Mc Gregor in the White House, and and I was listening to him, and I was thinking, I don't think you should be talking about that. Not if you want to stick with your channel. Your channel has to be this is what it's about. Even if you started talking about, well, I'll tell you what, I'm now for this week I'm going to talk about cucumbers, and then then I'm going to go back. If it's a different one, it doesn't work anyway, because your channel, all of the actual it just goes weird, when they start to try and fit you into something, be it, what do you call it, your SEO for your channel, and it goes haywire if you start talking about the wrong thing compared to what you're supposed to be. But yeah, I mean, he got, and from there it was going on about immigration in Ireland, which if anybody was asked a question, do you know that there's a problem with immigration in Ireland, or in England, in fact, but it was in Ireland for him, you would have had to have been deaf, dumb, blind, and dead to not know that there's a problem, and that there's massive amounts of demonstrations, and there's a lot of people who would let you know about what's going on. But for whatever reason, he gave his, and when you were listening to it, it was actually a very reasonable, balanced kind of well, it's down to the government, and we should really be looking at what's going on. It wasn't sort of the comments that I've seen talking about him after, far right, hooligan, I think. Hooligan, far right, and it's wow. I mean, it's just pathetic, and it was oh, they come out the woodwork eventually, they're trying to be funny, but then you find out they're a far right fascist, these people are insane, and but he actually took himself off of social media for a week or so.
Yeah,
just to
he's
get
back.
me shit saying,
Yeah.
hey, he's come back. He's just come back. I've just seen him
But
today.
like, what happened is because he kind of put down Connor, called Connor as it was, people attacked him. Like, I mean, there's the talk about the rape. I think that he was. I mean, one, if he's going to sleep with different women when he's married, that's his own business. But I mean, there's videos showing that he came out and she was all over him. So that was a lie, and he wasn't allowed to use that in evidence. So even though I'm not a fan of him because I saw him punch a man in a pub into the head, and he's a professional fighter, like, he obviously, the guy got a golden handshake because it was never said anymore. But I saw the video of that. And I mean, I think all the stuff where he's throwing stuff at the bus when he was fighting Khalib, and that's all a pony show. That I don't believe that's kind of that, because you see pictures of them together, and it's like, I think that's all just acting. But
Oh yeah.
punching an old man into the head isn't acting. But like the fact that Connor called out what's actually happening, that's doing us a favor, because I mean, the government aren't doing anything. It's a pony show. Like, even the other day, like, they're just laughing and joking at each other. And yet the Irish are thrown to the streets and they're bringing in stuff. And then you've the likes of BlackRock coming in, getting houses on the pennies and the dollar when they took everything off everybody, and the rent has gone 3 times the price. Like, that's reality. And the small towns that have been taken over. Yet, like, I heard Blindboy, Blindboy, he's the guy that wears the plastic bag. He'd come out and he'd say, he'd agree with some things about what's going on in the housing crisis, but then he's like, saying something else, what his belief system, like, he believes you should be jabbed, you should be masking up and everything. And that's the problem, you see, with a lot of these people. Like, I even say, no matter what we say, don't believe anything you say, but just go in and do your research. But the problem is, a lot of these people, because they call themselves influencers, people are listening to them and assuming they are right in making a decision. It's like if you're listening to Dwayne Johnson or Oprah or something, you're an idiot. I mean, basically, if you make a decision based on someone because you like him as an actor, a singer, or whatever, that's on you. But still, unfortunately, that's the way society is now. It's like if somebody comes out, everybody just, like, knows Musk is brilliant and all that. But if you take off the layers of what he's done or who he is or his mother and stuff like that, and what he's dressed up as, and it ain't so good. But nobody wants to hear that. They'll attack you. And same with Trump. I've called out stuff. I got a video. One of my Spotify was removed because of what I called out in Trump. And if you look at the video of him getting into the car, it's like a bloody Monty Python show with the people that are supposed to be defending. That's all a joke. It's the whole. But yet, because someone is either they're Democrat or Republican, because I've said, oh, we hate you now, instead of just looking at what it is what it is. That's not right. They're just playing, like the tariffs now and all this. What's a tariff? As you paying extra. And it's just a whole lot, and like the BlackRock. I mean, that is scary. Like the BlackRock controlling the ports, like more money, more increases. I mean, has people's money, disposable income, increased? Like, it went to a stage, like, obviously, our parents and stuff like that, things weren't as good for them. Things got better. But I think our generation was the last one that things kind of went up. It's like, once we got knocked out, everything, like, you look around now and you talk to people, even if people are they want to look, say, and invest in something or a business or do anything. I'd love to, but I can't. People don't have disposable income anymore. They're all on the breadline. They're all struggling. They're all trying to sell something. They're all trying to survive. They're being attacked left, right, and centre. And it's all orchestrated. And unfortunately, then they're looking and listening to somebody and they're attacking because of that belief system, or because somebody come out and say something. Instead of going, why is he saying that? Why would somebody actually make a point of saying these things? And they don't, like, they can't. I mean, we can have a discussion, and we usually estrange the spooky to so many different things. We've come to our own conclusion, which is the same. But yet, when somebody has a different belief system, instead of just going, explain to me where you came from, and then I could kind of think differently. They don't. They just go attacking, and they just, like, you're wrong, I'm right. And, that's on you. You can't. Have you been conditioned and brainwashed through the education system? Possibly, but it's time to wake up, because it's not getting better.
Yeah, I mean, do you not think though that most of them I call them just greys, right? They're just the color of grey. Some people would call them I've called them like NPCs, non-player characters. They're just there as a filler to make like, you know, the place full for like more people like to fit in, you know, like the old you know, what do you call it? What's the show called? Well, with what's his name in about living in his island. He's getting filmed all the time. Um, you know, the guy, and they try to scare him to death so he won't fly off on a plane. He won't go to wherever it is, Fiji, I think he wants to go to, you know, and they're showing like when he's going into the travel agents, there's a picture of a plane getting struck by lightning. You know what I mean? It's like, and then he's scared of water because they made a show like of his dad drowned, but it was just an actor taken out. And you know, it's like that though, isn't it? All these people, none of them are actually real. They're just there to be put onto your stage to, you know, fill it up. But then, you know, maybe that's the ones that go and write the ridiculous comments because they want to keep you in your little space so that you don't vibrate out and, like, you know, influence more and more people. Which is why I think, you know, you've got people like the ones that are rich and famous, or like see these ones that call themselves influencers that get the bigger like attraction from social media, where they get 1 million views where we get 5, you know, 6 or 7. You know, hang on, my point was far more interesting than how many crisps they ate that week, you know. Well,
We just have to practice it dance, Peter. That's it. We do
exactly,
dance. We get
exactly. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just like, but then they start like putting out, you know, that their ideas about we should all get jabbed or we should all be, you know, don't be silly. There is nothing wrong with like the planes spraying the skies, and laugh at the people who say that, you know. Actually, one of the biggest actual viewings that I got was when I actually videoed a chemtrail. I said, what is that? Look at this beautiful blue sky. Why is this the one staying there? Yesterday, right, we actually seen one and it had a shadow, right? There was the actual line, and then above that you could see a shadow. What's that? What's a shadow on? How can you have it if that's in the sky? How can that stream of whatever chemicals that were spraying out, right, above it, you could see a shadow? What was that on? If you'd go and, you know, block out the sun, you'll see your shadow on the ground. So what was that a shadow on? That one out. And you know, we try filming things. You can't always get it, but we've seen as well a plane flying around quite high, you know, I mean, whatever it is at cruising altitude, and above it we could see a shadow. So if that doesn't tell you there's something very, very weird, you know, compared to what we're told and what the whole thing is, you know, how can you have a shadow above, right? As if there was something weird like a firmament over the planet, you know what I mean? It's there was definitely more people should be watching that and trying to. You can't get the video. You video it just doesn't come out right.
Yeah,
Right?
I'm convinced the phones are. But I got one about 2 weeks ago by my house. You see the two lines going along, and then there was a stop, and then it went again, and then I don't know how much long later, not that long, you just see it all smoking exactly in the same thing. That proves it. Like, I'm there, you can see it's my house. You can see I'm scrolling along. You see the lines, and then a few minutes later, exact same lines, but now they're like that big. You know, and it's like, you know, people tell you put on your tinfoil hat, like so.
Yeah, and then you can see it getting wider and wider and wider, and then the next thing you know, just a massive what you could call, well, it's just overcast, but it wasn't
But it's
overcast.
a reflection as well. No, it's hurting my eyes. Like it's whatever they have, and they're saying that like that Gates, like that's involved with a lot of this stuff. Is he just a pony show to pretend he's the bad guy? I don't know, but like they're doing a reflective stuff that's on it, so it's also killing everything. And
Yeah.
I can't understand. I mean, the fact that I say to somebody, "Hey, look at this," and they're still attacking me. And I mean, when you got a freedom of information from the government saying, "Hey, we're blocking out the sun for climate change," and they still don't believe that. Like, it's like, I don't know. Like you say, grays. Yeah, you're probably right there. Like,
Yeah, non-player characters just floating through your existence, you know, just filling in all the spaces to make you feel like, you know, the construct, the show construct, but it's all just there just for you, so you can like you know, follow along and play your little game. So keep an eye out when you're driving around, like, you know, time everybody. like you did on that film. Can't remember the name of the film, man. I can't. But the it's like time everybody so you know what time to turn up in your scene. Like every single day, the same guy going past on the bike and the same car going around it. You know, it's just all set up there. Wait until the camera or a light, falls out of the sky and lands on the road in front of you. You know, so just because that's your completely in your construct, and it's all filming you, just there for you. It's weird. It is weird, but yeah, maybe they're all I just call them greys, and that's the way it is, and you'll never get through to them.
Yeah, the wheel is turning, the hamster's bay, didn't it? It's like.
Yes.
So we like because your TikTok's doing very well, and like I heard you kind of talking about creators, and because I mean, there's some people they're barely able to survive, so it's perhaps a way that people can kind of monetize on that as well. I mean, I don't know, did you get any strikes? I had one, I'd nearly at 10,000, and then it just removed it, so I've started another one now, and it's like, no, I put up say our shorts there recently, 0,000. Took it down, put it up again, 0,000. Then I put it up again. Has to be at a certain time. Then you can get 200 nods. Sometimes with Arnold, when I do a weekly with him, they were getting 750, plus or minus, I say 100 or whatever. And then I do the next badge 0,000. And I have to take them down and put them up again. And it's like when you get to a certain level, you can upload a lot of them. But now I have to do it individually. And it used to be, now it's 5 is the max that I can put up. And this shows how much bullshit these things are, and most of the social media are like that. One of the ones that had said nothing, it said this video is performing a lot better than the others. Do you want to do a boost on it? And it had 0. So it's like, but people can make a few bob from it, which helps. And I mean, like I know you were showing different ones with the food, so maybe just touch on that because
well,
it's a way to maybe pay your gas bill.
Yeah, that's the whole thing, though. But I mean, what we call it is we call it a sovereign enterprise. So, I get a lot of people that will say, well, how can I do this? I've got a job, right? I'm at work and I can't do this and I can't do that. So, well, get out of the job then, because call the job what it is, JOB, just over broke. Because it's never going to help you. It's going to keep, maybe like the wolf from the door, but that's it. It's just you're going to be just about broke all the time. So if you have a lot of people, I hear them now, it's the term they use is like, oh, get what is it called? A side gig or something like that, right? I get it. So, but it's a sovereign enterprise, something that you can do and you can start to develop so that you can become your own boss and look after your own affairs. So a lot of people saying, oh, I'm going to be sovereign. What does that mean? Oh, I'm going to write a notice to the government telling them I'm a man. Right. Well, that's not really looking after your own affairs, because you're then going to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning so that you can go to work, and then you're going to come home at 5, 6 o'clock, and you're going to repeat this thing. So you're not sovereign. You're not free. You're a slave, 100%. So if you look at it in a way, well, how you can escape slavery, and start looking at that as ways to have a sovereign income, one of the easiest ones would be to become a creator on something like TikTok. And the reason why I was telling other people to do TikTok is because the algorithm is a lot easier than, say, YouTube or things like that. Now, they are still quite strict on content, but they're getting to be, so they recognize more quality content. I mean, it is weird, and they can come up with some very funny things. They kicked a video off of mine the other day and says that's not what's the term? It's not genuine content, or it's not and it was just literally me talking about an event that I was doing. So I said, well, how can that not be, like me talking about me when I'm actually, it is me. And they did put it back on, but it wasn't, I can't remember the bloody word now, but they were saying it was copied from somewhere else. Well, how can I copy me unless I'm me? Apart from that, I've got 2 fake accounts that are following now, and then looks like mine, but they changed the name slightly, put some underscores in or stuff like that, so it just slightly changes the name. It doesn't say Checkmate the Matrix, it says something with a little line in somewhere, and then they're trying to ring people or message people saying, how's your crypto doing and all this crap like that, So I keep telling people, be very wary, because I'm not going to ask you for any account numbers. I'm not going to ask you to invest in anything. If they are, it's definitely not me.
The thing is, you report that. Like, I've reported a lot, and they do nothing about it. That's the
Look,
sad part. I mean, it's simple. Okay, let's go on the call. Let's go to the 3 people that are you. And you're there going, hey, look, this is me. They're not. They're somebody else. And yet, they just allow it. They know they're ripping people off. It's all orchestrated, unfortunately.
yeah, oh, exactly. They don't care. So it's like, oh, they haven't violated any terms. But they're actually using all my content. You're saying I'm not allowed to use content that you're saying is not genuine or whatever, but it's me talking about my show that I'm going to be doing next week or whatever. They've actually just copied all of this, so that's definitely not like their own content. But then you're allowing them to actually keep that channel up there. That's how pathetic it is. But anyway, so we were just saying, like, I know people that talk literally nonsense. There's one guy, right? All he does is live events all the time, right? What he's doing is he runs a baked potato van. So he's filming himself and a couple of people in the van selling hot potatoes. And that's it. That's all. And he's getting millions of views and millions of comments. But what happens is they go into, I can't remember the name, it might be called the Creators Program or something along those lines. And you get paid $1 per 1,000 views when it goes over 100,000 views. And so if you're doing that regularly and you're doing, say, 2 to 3 videos a day, and you're doing it on a regular basis like that, or doing it live, I've done a few live shows, and you can see that your viewers flies up and you get more followers, and so it does work. But then I just get so busy that I forget to keep doing it. But it's a good way, though, of being able to get yourself like a side income that can actually increase. I mean, one guy I was listening to, only because of how he was building his business. Well, I mean, to me, he was talking absolute nonsense, right? But he wasn't really he was, because he was English living in Thailand. People wanted to listen to him. And he was getting the views up there, and he was making close to, it was dollars, right? But 10,000 a month, Well, what if you're doing 1,000 a month, right? So just a tenth of what he's doing, but you're doing content of what you're interested in. Could be anything from, I mean, I know 2 young guys. This is what I did a video the other week. I had Newcastle United, shirt on. And someone says, what's that on there? And I went, oh, it's Newcastle United. They went, oh, football is just a distraction. I went, oh, well, okay. Well, not as big as a distraction as going to work for somebody else the 9 to 5, and spending your entire life away from your family, away from your home and everything, because you're in an office or a factory or something like that. And, that's the biggest distraction I can ever think of. So don't worry about me wearing a shirt that I like. But I know that like, now that there's at least 2 young guys and one like who's actually, I don't know what you call him. He's maybe like a sports correspondent or whatever, right? But they make their living talking about Newcastle United, and all of their videos get thousands of views. So they're getting paid for all of you. And a lot of people going on and complaining and slagging off and like, I'm a Sunderland fan, you're crap, and but they get paid even for the attacks. So even for the crap comments, even for the idiotic comments, they actually get paid. So, just by doing something like that, to me, thinking, well, it might be a distraction, but if I can actually get out of a just over broke to become a sovereign enterprise, then it's going to give me more opportunity to live as a man and be freer, so that then I can start looking at making more of my own decisions and say, well, should I be actually arguing with a debt collector or the council tax or something like that, because I'm in a position to do that, rather than say, I'm not going to argue with anything because I've only got 50 pence left at the end of the week, right? Once I've paid all my bloody bills and everything like that. So, and then I might not get my job, I might lose my job, and then do you know what I mean? It's like you're completely a slave and controlled anyway. So, And you can feed onto that. So say if you've got, right, like the TikTok channel, you can add on to go to the YouTube channel. I've never monetized mine, so I don't know how to do it. So
I have mine monetized, but it's brutal. I mean, like say 500,000 views and it's less than $500. Like, you know, it's
right.
really shit what they pay out.
Yeah.
But maybe you get to a certain level, and I mean, some people are getting a couple of million views per video, so of course it gives a good return on investment. But I like, just from listening to a lot, TikTok pays out better than
Pays out way better. But you can sort of like add on to it and then, build it to try and feed the actual TikTok. So you could do YouTube, you could do other ones. And again, another one that we have, which is the school.com, SKOOL. You were talking about it before. So we have a private group on there. Now, if you want to do it yourself, if you want to create your own group, it's going to cost you $99 a month, something like that. Say $100.
yeah, that's it, yeah.
Right? But you can do something on a subject that you've got a great affinity with, and it could be like football or a football team, particular team, or just football in general, or growing your own food, or like some kind of topic that other people will be attracted to, that you can actually talk about and share content about that they're going to be interested in, so they can come and join your community. It doesn't have to always be like free. They can actually pay a subscription to join your actual that group, the private group on school.com. That can lead on from TikTok. So again, you could, like, as you are progressing and building your followers up and you're getting more content, you're getting more views, getting more money, then you could put it into, say, I'm going to run it on school.com and have private members on there as well that get fed from, because obviously you get a lot of, ridiculous comments as well on TikTok, and you just have to put up with it. But if you go onto your private network and there's only your members that go on there, and anybody starts acting silly, they just get kicked straight off. It's like social media, but private social media. So you can be the fact checker, and you can be the one that like checks everything, and people are being nice and friendly and whatnot and whatnot. So, you can feed onto that and make them pay a per subscription, which most people want to be part of the community, don't they? Like we were just talking about, like COVID and lockdowns and all of that. So what did they do? They actually destroyed the community, didn't they? They stopped people mixing with each other. Now that people are used to it, they don't really want to go and mix with each other, right? I mean, like you're talking about having bars and pubs, and I would hate to have one, like especially now, because you can see how much they struggle to get anybody to go into them, because people are used to actually having it a broken down community, which is now you can live your entire life fake through Meta and Metaverse and all this stuff. You don't even have to be anything like you. You're actually a robot inside a robot world. And that's what they want to push people into. But because people are still looking for communities, they're just doing it now in a different way, be it online. You can create your own community online through that, things like that school.com. I mean, I'm telling you this, I'm not getting anything for, for telling you, just sharing the actual information. Everybody say, for instance, that was like, oh, they love gardening. So they want gardening tips. They want, how do you get your best potatoes? How do you get your best, cauliflowers and whatnot? And you can show everybody what you're doing. Same thing, doing it on TikTok. I know people that live on a boat and they're filming it on a boat, and people love to see them living on a boat. So they follow them and they want to hear the stories, even though the stories are the same as somebody living in a house, but it's because they did it on a boat, right? But people are looking for different things of interest, and then you put them into a community where they can all share the same ideas of, be it like, how to cook food, whatever it would be, it's whatever different cuisine it would be. There's so many different subjects. Everybody is an expert at what they do best, right? You are your own expert at what you do best, whatever that would be. It can be boat driving, it could be running, it could be cycling, it could be some knitting, right? Or when I was in Nashville in Tennessee, I was sitting next to this group of women.
Tell the truth, Peter. The reason your hand is sore is not from the thorns, as you've been you enter knitting competition.
It is. It's the knitting. But following these women, and they had a massive online following, all following. They were selling knitting patterns, knitting ideas. They had like, videos of how to do it, showed how they actually knitted these things. These women were like, grandmothers, and there they were, had an online business, what I would call a sovereign enterprise. I mean, I was at a big online business conference. That's why they were there, so, but, you can do it with anything like that. But that's what we've got a section on myschool.com, right? You can go in and learn how to actually do it yourself to be able to get yourself a sovereign income, so you don't have to be the job, the slave, that you give yourself that little bit more freedom, so then you can start to realize your own ideas in your own life, and not being scared of what your opinion would be. Like, I might lose my job, and I don't want my boss to know what I'm doing in case they don't like it and sack me or anything like that. So learn how to do it yourself and create your own income. You're going to have to do it sooner or later, because they're trying to get rid of everybody anyway, aren't they? So you may as well try and get your own business and your own enterprise up there.
There's one guy that I've seen on TikTok, and Tim Haden, I think is his name. It's lovely. He created his own watches. I think he's English, but he goes around the world, and he sits down. He's got his camera set up, and you have to come up once he presses it. So he doesn't tell you where he is, but just for us to kind of guess, and he gives some hints, and you have to go up and say, "I love your journey." And he does it so well. Like, he's worth watching just to learn. One day, I just watched him from the start one day just to learn what he's doing. He got for his live, over 2 million hearts. And he was like, all right, so if I get to 100,000, I'll extend it by 5 minutes, right? And people are tapping, and he's telling them what to do. And then he's going, all right, so I'll give a 30% discount if we get to, say, 1 million views. And he just keeps saying, all right, look, I can do a 2 for 1. So he's giving away a watch, but he's probably after making 100 grand or more in a month by the way he's doing, because every day he's doing this, and then he's traveling around. But it's clever how to do it. But you got, don't just wing it. Just watch a few of these people, and like, I'm doing it wrong because I'm putting up shorts for all my different podcasts and everything. But like, the way you're doing it is because you're sticking to the one thing. You're kind of talking about the sovereignty and things like that, common law, that kind of stuff. That's why it works, because people know. Whereas with me, it's kind of all over the place, and you can't really. I needed an extra number to have something specific to stick to one topic. But if you stick to something, that's when it works better, because people go, okay, this guy's the comedian, this guy's the cook, this is the gardener, this is the sovereign person. And if you do it like that, then it works. And you can actually, I mean, I'd rather see people like that are content creators getting some of the money rather than these big corporations.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. So, which is what I was talking about there on that Garen Noon, right? So why he went off topic, because that's not what his channel's about. His channel's about being silly, being funny, taking like a subject and making fun of it, which is a lot of it makes fun of himself, and people like him because he's delicious, and, and they'll follow him, and they'll watch his videos. And obviously, the thing is with the algorithm on TikTok, when you put up the your video, it's got to be over 1 minute long to count, right? Because you can get millions of views on something that's 10 seconds, 20 seconds, but it won't count towards your viewership if you want to be in the creator program. There's a few different rules. A minute's not very long anyway, is it? Like, I mean, mine are always well over a minute, because it's just such a difficult subject to actually put into. I've tried a few, and it's like, you end up getting so garbled because you're trying to talk so fast and put it over there. They go, oh my God. But now they're actually giving you more incentives to have longer videos. But when you put your video out, be it so like, like a minute, 2 minute video, the first 200 people they send it to are not your followers, right? It goes off what hashtags you put in. So if you're putting in, well, if it was me, I could put in debt-free community, become debt-free, debts, bailiffs, debt collector, that type of thing. So then people that are in debt, or have got a credit card, or they've had a letter from a debt collector, something like that, they're going to go, oh, well, what does that mean then? So they'll get sent that because it's the type of content they've watched before. So 200 views go out, and then what do TikTok will watch how much the people watch the video. If it goes over 30 seconds, right? If they watch over 30 seconds, they'll send it out to another 200. And then if those 200 do, and that's how it ends up where you can get like viral. Whereas if like they don't watch to past that 30-second mark, then next thing you do like one video only gets 300 to 400. I mean, I've done them like you just look at them and think, well, how did that get nearly 1 million? It's just and you try to repeat that and it's completely different. It's like, 300, fuck off. Like, it's like, it's just so weird, but that's what they do. They send it out to people that are not followers, but have been watching similar content. And if they watch it doesn't even matter if they like it. They might be looking at it, hating you. But if it goes over the 30-second mark, they'll send it out to another 200. I can't remember that. I've got it written down, all the percentages. We had a big analysis done, and I did a course myself, followed this course to find out what the percentages were, from TikTok. So I'm right, okay, so this is how we do it, and this is what we try and create. And then I tell other people, if you want to make money, do it that way. And then you can help your own content, be it, I like going down the beach, or like, I like walking the dog. Like, it's the amount of people that love watching things about dogs. Get it to bark funny. You'll get 1 million views for that. Yeah, it's one of the most popular ones. Yeah, one of the most popular ones is they got a jar, like a big jam jar or whatever, fill it with marbles, roll it down the stairs till it breaks, and then scatter, and it gets 1 million views. I think,
yeah,
what?
they keep putting different things. There's one I watched, the guy Barry Chandler whiskey, or Irish whiskey. So he's talking about the different. He works with the Middleton distillery that makes Jameson and all. So he's just talking about all the Irish whiskey. On one of his videos, he was like, "What happens when you give up drinking for a month?" And he goes, "I don't know," and he just drinks his whiskey, and I got 5 million views. That was it. So you said, not in 1,000,000 years would he think that could take off. That's his best video. So
Wow.
there's people, I mean, the likes of Mr. Beast, they got massive teams out. Like, I'm reading a book on YouTube at the moment, and just the different things that they're doing, how to get it to work. But what I would suggest is, if you are trying to do this, don't wing it. You have to study the people and look into thumbnails and all different things. And I mean, even the YouTube, I mean, I've never got, 20 odd thousand was the highest I've got on one of them. And I started putting in all the right tags and all the setup and everything, and then it doesn't work. And then the team put out a short, and it's like, it gets a couple of thousand. You go, what did they done nothing, so sometimes it just works. It just works.
That's the thing. And like, if you get the videos going, I can't remember, but you have to have 100,000 views each month for it to qualify. But it ain't that hard, when if you're doing, like, I'm terrible, because I was like, I get, like, say, I did one yesterday. I can't believe that I'd done one. I think I did it when I was in the only time I had to sit down, and like at the allotment, I was knackered and I had to get a drink, so I sat down and I made a video. But it's I'm terrible at, like, not doing it every single day. So it is. I'm certainly not one to say follow me and do what I do, because I keep forgetting to do the bloody videos. But if you do it regularly, it's easy enough to get those views. It doesn't have to be 100,000 on everyone. It adds up, and the followers, you have to have over 10,000 followers before you can qualify. But I got that within a week, and I'm an ugly bastard. So, like, if you can actually get on there and just do it regularly, you can get a build up, and it, you can, because I don't put it out, I keep forgetting to do it. I don't get like that kind of income. I don't, but I'm, I should do it just to prove the whole point. But if you were getting it regularly and build it up there, you could actually end up so that I bet you could easily leave the job, the just over broke, with the horrible boss who's a prat, and, like, and actually have a sovereign enterprise. And then you could build it up. The amount of people that are selling stuff as well on the TikTok shop, I don't know how to do it, and I can't be bothered to try and do it. I'm not saying other people shouldn't, right? If you've got the audience that are into a certain thing, and then, from there saying, actually, what's related to my subject is this, from the shop, and I've bought this, it's like, advertise it on there, and then you can have a link from your You don't even have to have your own shop. You just
No, you can, yeah, you can set it up that it's like, say, if you're recommending, say, even on something on Amazon, if they buy it from your link, even though it's not your shop, they know it and you get a commission from that. So just, people are making like hundreds of thousands from doing things.
Oh, they are. They are. I mean, on this group that I was actually in when I first started studying it, I couldn't believe it. These kids, they're like 14 and 15, and they're making like, 12, 15 grand a month, dollars, like, and they're teenagers at school,
There was, in that book, there's I don't know, these 6 or 8-year-old, $26 million he made in a year. And you're like, Jesus.
Wow. Yeah.
And just because I got so many strikes with everything. I mean, like a YouTuber got removed, but I know I use my own channel and stuff like that. But on TikTok, there was a lot of stuff. You get a strike. And I think it's a case of the more followers you are, the more strikes you're allowed. Because I once did 15 strikes or something like that, and they just remove it. And you appeal, and sometimes they allow it back, and others don't. One of the ones was when I was talking about the 15-minute cities, which 100% is true. We know it's true. It's there, but they didn't like that. And also the Ford car, I don't know, was it like 15 or 16 tracking devices? And I said, I'm going to play with this. And I put it up again with the new channel. And I said, isn't it great that there's 15-minute cities? And I twisted and they left it up. So even though the video is actually saying how bad it is, I just changed the title. And I thought the AI was going into the video and checking everything. But no, so if you find that you're being attacked on different things, play with the title.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, and then they go and search the words, it's just the one word. I actually got one removed, and they were said that you have to be something like we're warning you can get banned. And all I done is put hashtag, and I was going to put a word in, and I forgot, and I clicked a funny, like, whatever it was, like a star or something like that or whatever, which wasn't allowed. I didn't even know I'd done it, and they actually removed that video because I had made a mistake on the tags and threatened to like shut the channel down. Like, what? It's like, I've reported all these channels for copying me and trying to scam people out with crypto stuff. But like, he's still there. I can still see it. I've actually had emails of people saying, how dare you try and like sell me crypto? And I'm like, hang on a second, did you not ask them who it really was? You're like, don't come on to me about it. But there you go. I mean, there's a lot of people do say, look, someone's copying you, we're reporting him. So it ain't just, there's a load of other people that have reported these copycats. They're still there, they don't do anything about it. But they'll kick you off if you make a mistake on a hashtag. So it's mental. But, if you can do it, like if you try to like be like careful and serious about it, especially on the TikTok, because you can quickly grow and start making money rather compared to like, well, you just said it, compared to, YouTube, right? It's really difficult to get them going. But if you did it on the TikTok and you were very careful, didn't do like the wrong hashtags like I did, and very careful, stick to one subject, be it like, it could be something silly. Like, I tell you what, these kids, what were they doing? There's a game, is it a game called Roblox or Roadblock or something like that? I don't know. But like they were making the same type of video, right? A little cartoony type silly video, and they were getting like hundreds of thousands of views on every single one. And one of them got 2.3 million, and it was rubbish, But and this is what they were doing, and they're getting it on there, and they're making a really, really good income. So if they're making an income, who cares if these people just enjoy looking at these stupid things? This, they sit there scrolling through. As long as they watch for over a minute, it classes as a view, and then that goes towards your 100,000, and they're making decent income. So if you can talk about, I mean, there's a young Irish girl, actually. I can't remember her name, but because she's talking about planting, food and stuff like that. I listened to it, because that's what we were trying to do now. We just took the garden over. Want to learn more about it, and I know, I'm not sure about. She's definitely on TikTok, because that's where I see her. But like on Instagram, I think, which I'm not on. She gets like I think she's got 400,000 followers. So that there, I don't know what she does, if she does it for money or whatever, but I know she grows her own food, she's got her own chickens and stuff like that, right? Shows you how she plants, shows you how she makes the beds, you know, the raised beds to put the vegetables in and stuff like that. You know, the today today we went into the garage. Like Janine has been planting peas, and they were growing, like, you know, from seed, little pea in there, and it was goes about that big. So we should put them in the garage, right? Because it was a bit frosty, plus to keep them away from the slugs, so should move them so they were growing before they get planted in the bigger pot, blah, blah, blah. And there was I seen a mouse in the garage, right? So, you know, there's nothing you can do about it. It's just a mouse in your garage. You know, there it is. And it ate them all. All these plants, it ate them all gone. So it's like there's just no winning sometimes, is there? But you know, it's you know, these things that if you were making little videos of that and put them up, people will follow it and will watch, you know, and it becomes part of the community, and that's how these people can get themselves out of like poverty. You know, I think I got a load of grief because I had said, why are you fighting, like, you know, your gas bill, electric bill, water bill? Why fight it and get all the bailiffs coming again? The arguments are going and everything. Why not just go and create this sovereign income? You get this money coming in from TikTok and there, and then go and pay the thing off. You're actually enjoying doing what you're doing, and then you're not going to get the grief. But they're saying, oh, but you only need to. Where is the book? Show me the book, right? Where the rules are that say if you're not fighting council tax, then you're not sovereign. If you're not fighting your electric bill, you're not sovereign. Where's that? Right? So who says how it is and what it is? Right? I think that looking after your own affairs and thinking about who you are and why you're here with the creator above is a lot more sovereign than like spending your entire life arguing with a bailiff on the doorstep every day, and being completely unproductive because you don't want to pay your electric bill. There's more to life than that. You know, yeah, all right, it's a rip-off, but so is everything else.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
You're looking over your shoulder. You're not living in harmony. You're just living in fear, worrying will they knock on your door instead of being in creative mode like we've been discussing.
Yeah.
And you thoroughly enjoy it. And then, yeah, as one guy said to me one stage, like, it was like, yeah, money solves all problems, so make more money.
Yeah, well, and that's it. So, you know, I mean, I tell you what, Andrew Tate, love him, hate him, whatever it is, you know, when you're listening to him saying, he said, well, look, like we're just talking about it, COVID. He said, but it's simply a poor man's disease, you know? And he just said, so once I actually started making more money, I didn't have to worry about a mask or about this. You know, he went on a plane, and when he was on the flight going into wherever he was going, he was getting shouted at, where you mind? He's lifting his mask up and he's getting stand in this queue, stand in that line. He thought, I'm not doing that again. Next time he did it on a private jet, right? And no masks on, right? Nobody telling you what to do, no queues, nobody getting like, you know, worrying about everything, because, you know, once you get to a certain wealth and you can go in, I'm not saying go in a private jet, right? But you don't have to get that far. But the point I'm making is, like, you get treated like shit, right, when you haven't got that much money. So I'm not saying you have to be like mega rich like him, but if you're making a little bit more money, and then you can put it towards these inconveniences, like your gas bill, electric bill, and utilities, etc., doesn't mean you have to go and fight them all the time head on, right? Which is why I call the channel Checkmate the Matrix. Learn how to play a better game of chess than the Matrix, then put the Matrix into checkmate. Don't run up and batter your head off the brick wall all the time, you know? Or as I showed it, as I was telling him, you're fighting like the Roman Empire. It's still the Roman Empire, right? But why do you want to be like the Iceni tribe in, you know, Britain back in the day, and run up to the Roman shield wall and get stabbed from underneath and stabbed from over the top, and you've smashed yourself on the wall, you haven't got any further forward? Then the guy behind you's doing the same, the guy behind him's doing the same, and they're all lying there dead, right? Why not start playing a better game and go behind the line and then attack them from behind, right? I know that might be a bit of a brutal way of putting it, but he's still fighting the Roman Empire. So learn how to do a better fight. Learn how to play the game better. Go in at this, outflank them and go in behind. Use your brain more. Why do you have to fight all the time? Earn that solid, get those sovereign enterprises, right, where you can actually be earning more income, better income. You're not a slave anymore to the system. Then you can start to escape more from the system. That's the way I think they should be looking at it, rather than like, I'm going to hide in my house, block all me doors, and I'm not going to open the door. I'm not going to open the windows. I'm going to hide in here because the gas man's coming. I'm not going to pay him so he can stay outside and shout at me. The bailiffs will come. Right? Yeah, sounds like a fucking great life.
No, no, yeah, no, definitely. Listen, Peter, as always, thoroughly enjoy it. You might let people know where they can find you.
Well, I mean, if you go to claimthestrawman.com, that's although we call it Checkmate the Matrix, to get into it, just go to claimthestrawman.com, go in there and you can get free ebook about how to actually become more like free, unslave yourself. But then from that, you can go in to have a look at the group, get in the free part, if you like, on the Checkmate the Matrix, and then you can see all of the knowledge shares that we have, and you become a full member if you want to get really deep diving into some of those knowledge shares as well. So, there we are. So go to checkmatethematrix.com or on the YouTube channel, Return to True Democracy.
Perfect. I'll make sure I put the links both on the audio and the video. And just to let the listeners know that Peter's each month he's with me. We're booked up as far as Christmas. We're going to so make sure you let me know what you'd like us to discuss. If you've got certain topics that we haven't covered that you think would be of interest to the listeners, we'd love to hear it. So you find all the episodes on awakeningpodcast.org. Sure to give us a thumbs up, 5-star rating, share with your friends, and you find everything about me, my 6 podcasts. Scan the QR code or go to royconn.com. If you're looking for a virtual assistant to help you in your business, go to va.world. We have packages starting from $99. Until next week, take care.